That's pretty strong. This is very strong. Donking out here where I have all the J-kicks. I think I still want to go for it. Hello guys, welcome to another Play and Explain. This time we play some Russian cash NL100. I will try to mix up the stakes that because I think most of the viewers will be playing like low stakes like 25, 50, 100 and maybe also like 10 NL, 5 NL. If you're interested in this, you can just let me know in the comments what you would like to see. So this time NL100 we will look for some interesting spots again. I will ask myself questions, like second guess my own plays. Also, if I'm not sure about something, if I'm interested in something, we will look it up. Again, having a solid GTO foundation. I have my randomizer here, and but always adjusting when possible. It's very important to not take the lazy way out and just say, okay, I think this is 50-50 or 25% this and that. Here I think this doesn't call always the fives. The deuces threes is starting to fold. Here we can range bet after we 3-bet. Big sizing on that flop. Probably fine strategy by him. We just call, of course. There's like raise would be. It's just a clear call. I don't think we ever raise. There's no exploitative reason to deviate from that. I'll also try to mention always what I think in GTO, how GTO looks like, and yeah, again, like we don't have many raises here on the turn. If you think also about which kind of bluffs you could bluff here all in, doesn't really make sense. You don't really have the equity with your bluffs. You cannot just shove now like ace jack, ace queen there. This check on the river is interesting, pretty weak to be honest. Yeah. See. Okay. I think his hand is played fine. I'm not totally sure about his turn bet. If 9 is still a turn bet, probably not. Probably not. He should start checking. Or maybe some frequency bet, still fine. Because I still have a bunch of he bets too big on the flop, so I don't have so many overcards anymore that he needs protection, or that he gets protection by betting. So yeah, I think here we want to just raise. To be honest, I'm a bit unsure how big we make it. I think somewhere like this can make sense. The 10 big blinds in the middle. I think that makes sense. Here we just fold. Or king 7 off. Yeah. Depends on the villain. If he's having a bit lower VPIP, there I think you just open. Also in that one hand with where he had 9s, like I really like bluffs there. Like if you think he there also it's a bit weird to have their 9s. Like if he checks there and the check call, I think is the a pretty bad option there. But we can look about it. Just from the perspective, it's just interesting what he should do with 9s. Not like my hand plays from it for itself. Let's say I didn't have a difficult time, of course, with 5s, but he has some decisions to make there, and I think his call is losing a lot of EV, especially in the spool. Here we have a high frequency check rate. In general, I think decent amount of check raises. Here we sometimes go for the 3-bet, low frequency queen check off. This is still a fine high frequency bet. Oh, we are deep. We're deep. Maybe raise. Wait, no, we need to. We are deep, so we need to adjust. He has 2s, 5s, we don't have them. So I think we start checking them a bit more often, so range betting will be a bit worse, but we can look this up. And now we can probably check again, fine, and overbet the river. He will check back a lot of like ace jack type hands, king jack type hands. Oh, seems pretty passive. I think we played it fine. Would be also interesting to look up at which point we start checking there more. I'm interested always in this. To be honest, why not getting in there with like 2 passive guys here. I think we can make this one profitable. If this guy is like more aggro, then I for sure need to be careful. I think just racing here makes sense. Building the pot, very unlikely that we get a re-raise and that we cannot realize our equity. Good there. Especially when we saw that he, like one hand before, he was pretty passive. Let's say, could be just that he had like a hand that make totally sense in his line, but anyway. Here 4x, we just fold. If he makes it 3x, probably I will get in there if the players behind this are not super aggro. This board, I think we do a lot of checking on the monotone boards. I try to simplify there. Keep your life easy, especially on boards where that don't come up so often. Doesn't make sense to go super complicated on this board, especially out of position. The blind versus blind is like normally the trickiest spot as out of position to play. Because you have such wide ranges. Here we can go for a bet, and here it's an interesting one. The sizing is a bit weird. To be honest, I would like to go. Seems a lot like Jack X, or like, yeah, something like this. It's interesting. This is interesting. Not great news, to be honest. But yeah, he's I'm basically bluff catching here. Yeah. Need to go for it, and here I could bet. I should bet probably. The thing is, it looks always a bit nitty when you start tanking with like their top, like trips with top kicker. But the thing is, if we can now start betting. The thing is that we are just bluff catching, and we need to just look if he's able to find there enough bluffs. If I block the ace of spades there, I block bluffs, block value, yes, but also a lot of bluffs that he could have. So I just need to think a bit about, and he bet like a sizing that was a bit weird to me on the turn. It's like a bit mergy turn bet. That didn't look like too much like a bluff, but again, you need to be careful to not read too much into things. Yeah, it's also fine, I think, to check sometimes. Bet. Sometimes 3-betting the right table. This time we 3-bet. And interesting one. I think going for this makes sense, or I think overbetting makes totally sense, and then going also for big bets on the river, bringing his jack X into a shitty spot because we still have 16 combos queen jack after betting the flop, but he doesn't have them. He will mostly 3-bet them pre-flop or raise them on the flop. This is very nutted. That's pretty strong. This is very strong. Donking out here where I have all the jack X and queen jack is, I think, yeah, we make the discipline fold. Here we can call with the recreation behind, and most likely also weaker play on the button. We can check raise the board. Most likely we will c-bet here range, and our range is hitting it not so bad. Like, we're not like the big blind having a super wide range, let's say. So I think we can go for raises more aggressively here, and king 7 is decent here, decent vectors. We have deuces, sixes for value, some ace 10 off, or like, yeah, some 10x hands like 10-9 that we go for it. We are not super polar, like we will check raise here also some 10x. I think this is not a theory play, but it should work quite well versus in the situation, particular situation, so it's an exploit. Fold. So like without any equity there to barrel the turn is not the greatest idea, but I think in this situation he would need to, I'm just thinking what he needs to continue there still is some 10x. He cannot just continue only ace x on the turn. So as soon he starts folding the non-ace x a bit too often, then it becomes very profitable there to barrel the turn and then just to give up the river. Let's fold here. At a certain point when we're like 200 big blinds deep, then ace 9 suited becomes pretty interesting, but rather we use the lower ace x wheels, suited wheels. I don't mind going for this, to be honest. Here we put pressure on him. We blocking jack, we block some, we have a nice bluff also on spade runouts, blocking ace jack. Now we block a bit the folding range, to be honest. Like ace jack suited is one hand. I think I still want to go for it. He will have some yeah, like he will be in a tricky spot with like aces, kings, ace queen type hands. He should check the turn frequently with them. He should not always bet them, and if he does so, then we can put him into a tough spot. But it's not perfect to block the jack of spades, but I think anyway, seems like a spot where he can overfold this region. Just calling there is like too passive, I find, so like Probably in theory it's calling and raising, mixing, but exploitatively you can maybe go a bit more aggro there. Yeah, call the force, especially a bit deeper. Interesting board. I think we can find some leads. Here we overbet or check. Then we check. But yeah, if it's a bit lower the board where he doesn't have the sets so often and 2 pairs anymore, like for example 6, 4, 3, then I have a big advantage in the sets and 2 pairs, then I think I like it more. And I think it's already a fold here, even when having the diamond. Probably a very, yeah, we start calling 2s as 3s and then the 4s in theory with a diamond. I think my hand should be like pretty close. Open the ace-10 off here. Queen 3. We could fold, but yeah, we see the button is tight. Small blind is also not too aggro. Here we can go with we just fold. It's a bit yeah, he seems tight, this guy, like from the VPip, but maybe it's not enough hands. 314 hands. Depends on the villain what I do there with ace-10 off. And here I think we can go still for barrels with 2x pot, especially deep. We can put some pressure on him now, and we have decent. It's also nice to block the three of hearts. I think the calling range. We fold out some JK, some 9x. It's a very interesting one. Now Queen 10 gets there, and he doesn't have Queen 10. We have Queen 10. We block King 3 in hearts. Oh, it's a nice one. I think 2x pot, fine. I think it's a pretty interesting one to bluff here. This one we can look up. Could be on the turn that we already start checking, but not totally sure, so I want to look this one up. Here we 3-bet, and I think on the flop we just bet a high frequency. And to be honest, it was a like autopilot 3-bet because I was so much with my head in the left hand and explaining, so this was autopilot. Because normally I need to randomize. Where's the big blind? I think on the turn we continue, but small, not like big, right? I think something. Not totally sure about the sizing. I need to think about which kind of hands we want to continue there for value, and in general how good it hits his range, our range. But I was thinking we have like this ace queen, ace king, offsuited hands as bluffs, and value we will continue with diamonds mostly, and maybe some like aces, kings without diamond, but then we cannot go super huge. I think here you have yeah, multiple options. You can go like 1/3 for range or a bit bigger and then mix. I still like a high frequency bet here. If you're unexperienced, just range bet. You make your life much easier. So this one would be also an interesting one to look into, to be honest. Where it was ace queen. So let's see. Yeah, I think this should work pretty good. I think we need to turn some pocket pairs into a bluff, and he need to now even find some races with some queens with a club or something, tens. He would need with a club. He would need to find now some bluffs. Yeah, I don't think this happens too much. Could be, but I don't think so. As soon like villain is not finding the bluff races and not going thin enough for value, not protecting the range, the check back range, for example, that when he never has there like some trips or some sets or some flushes in this line, then I think we can go pretty wide. The best hand to check raise would be their Jack X, to be honest, just to block the something like Jack 10 that blocks. Or like, I mean, to overbet. You want to block his strongest river tens like Ace Jack and Jacks. Here we just call. Tens I don't get in. Here was the small 4-bet. And here I want to check a lot because the big blind will have a lot of 7x, and if I just bet always the king, he can check raise me very aggressively here. Check. And now I go for a bet, but I expect to face some check raises, to be honest. Here from the big blind he can go for a triple check here if he's tricky. I think on the 10s will be probably like some frequency thing here, but maybe like versus the heavily under bluffed 4 bets here, we can get away. I think now we need to bluff it. This is like the main hand where my bluffs come from on rivers. Yeah, like I don't have much else, to be honest. I don't have much else. Of course we will run sometimes into aces or ace queen or something, but yeah, normally they under 4-bet ace queen and ace jack type hands. So if this is the case, then the check back range should contain almost no ace x, which is good. Then the effect of him under 4-betting is again good in this specific line, because then he lacks the bluff catchers, which is good for me. So I can float a bit wider and then attack the capped range on the river. As soon as he checks back, there comes my main EV from, of course, when I float the 10s on the flop. With this in mind, if you think ahead, so this is also one thing that I would recommend, and I try always to teach my students, is to think ahead, and because the EV is like calculated by including the future actions and runouts, everything. So if you are able to already think ahead and think which kind of mistakes he's likely to make, then you can adjust already your flop play accordingly. Even pre-flop you can adjust already to his mistakes that he's likely to make, and then one step more would be then to actively like push him into these mistakes. So there's a lot of things you can do, which is exciting in poker and interesting. It's not only just playing GTO. That would be boring. Yeah, I think the 8s need to continue, but for sure I would first call like 100% 6s and 5s, and 8s probably like then a mix. But again, I see some extra V somewhere, so I could can go a bit looser with the call. For the turn now, and here we go for just a bet. overbet, both fine. In theory, it doesn't make much sense to overbet because he has also still some 9x, or he doesn't have too many 9x to be honest. Like 9, 8, 10, 9 bets often the flop. Jack 9, King 9, he shouldn't have too much, but he could have. So yeah, probably fine. Probably still fine to bet 150. Also with like, I'm thinking about my aces, kings, which sizing they would like to choose. But again, like versus most players, you don't, they are not like really thinking so in depth about your play and your sizing. Then it doesn't really matter that you're like super balanced with your sizings. As soon as someone pays more attention, then you need to be careful. Here, yeah, we start mixing, and my hand should be, yeah, most of the time a check back. Here we check also back. I think we start betting like lower ones, and tens is like this in between thing. Do we start betting this one? Not sure. I think now on the turn we can go for some protection versus like his Broadway cards, just to fold them out. And now on the turn, do we have some thin value? It's an interesting one. Probably no. He will check also some. He will check also some flushes just to yeah, trying. He will have some king x and 10x flushes that he can check raised in there. Maybe even some ace queen. So he's not totally capped there. If he's more capped, then probably I can go for a bet. I will be exploitative because in theory I think it's never a bet my hand. Interesting one. This is a high frequency check back. This low, 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 especially when it's two-tone. The big blind does very well. He will have a two-pair advantage here. Yeah, my hand will be very often a check back. Yeah, sometimes I should bet it, yes. But very low frequency everything. And turn, I think we can start betting now. Yeah. But not always. So here start not to bet. I think even like going for a smaller size makes more sense. Not going so big because I'm. Okay, it's okay to go for 3. Not necessary. Like I think king 10 suited. I was thinking in GTO. I don't think it's like always a 3 bet. Maybe like 50%. If I'm not wrong, I'm not totally sure. And here, I think it's more like a 1/3 on the turn, could be, because he's still like he can still have a decent amount of check raises. He has more 4x there in his range. He would just fold. So often you will see that the solver is using like smaller sizings in the delay c-bet strategy. I think here we can make like a wider open with a pretty tight big blind. Also the small blind should be on the tighter side. Open the check 9 off, suited. Oh, yeah, just call. Could be a misclick, but yeah. guy seems to be a bigger recreational. Check to him, like we don't want to mess around here too much, so the fish is also like over floating. Here we just go one. So just check fold and wait for a better spot. We don't need to force like yeah, we don't need to force things here. C-betting would be way too wide. Again, half pot. I think I can start folding this one. No, let's do one more and see. Often I can imagine that they give up the rivers with like some of their bluffs too often, and that are not too aggressive enough. And okay. But if he bets bigger on the turn, probably I will just fold. This half pot looked not super strong. Here we fold. The big blind doesn't seem too tight. Pretty loose. 27 VPIP. But 0 hands. Yeah. Need to be careful there. Here we have like always a check raise. And when we check raise this like Broadway and low card boards, we go polarized, something like this, even bigger, fine. Low frequency, poo. I think we go for overbet still. I think a 150 overbet should be the play here, mostly. But some checks also okay, I think. We want to mostly check our like king check there, some king X that we check raised on the flop, like king queen. But threes probably also sometimes in the check. The king is not the greatest card. For sure not, because it takes away some value combos of us, and he has then good king X advantage, so ace king, king queen. So if I think about it, I think we would need to find more. Here we can start putting pressure on him. Whereas the small donk, I think the small donks are pretty weak from recreationals. Now he donks again. If he would be a bit deeper. The 8 is not the greatest card, because this is one of the main hands that I don't want to get to fold. I know, I just give up. I think it's a fine 3-bet. But yeah, not always. Okay, I think we're too long enough. Let's go over now to review some hands. I think we had some very interesting hands. Let's play one more time with the bigger recreational. Let's see if we get him. It's a decent chance now that we can get something. Normally I would check quite a bit on that board, but with the recreational in there, we are a bit deeper. I want to build a pot in case we hit. Yeah, the check blocker is not great here. Queen check. I want to call queen 7, queen 8 before queen check, so I'm mostly folding here. Versus turn barrel. So let's sit out the next blind and then we go over the hands. Probably, yeah. We can do one hand. Let's see. Okay, maybe here we get some, no. Okay, be right back. Okay, so I'm back, and yeah, let's go over the hand real fast. I choose the Jack 9 to look over, and if we have still time, if it's not taking too long, we go over also the 5-5 hand, the set from the perspective of villain, where he had like 9-9. Okay, so MP open 2x. If he opens 2.3 or 2.2, like anything bigger than 2x, then I think we start folding. Jack 9 off. My I would think Jack 9 off quotes like around 50%, 25-50% pre-flop versus 2x. On that flop, he will yeah, probably the GTO has also like high frequency bets here. So totally fine to go small and range for him. And we will do some, we will check raise pretty polarized, so like I would think something like King Queen plus, but mostly Ace Queen. Around like 10% check raise frequency, let's say. Not very high, like between low and medium. Okay, so on the turn it gets very interesting, because flop we don't really have a decision of Jack 9, we just have a call, clear call, also exploitive, there's no reason to do something else. On the turn then villain decides to bet 3/4. My guess would be that on the turn the in GTO that we see like more a pot size bet. I'm just thinking my thought process here is in general, if I would be the position guy, what is the weakest hand I still want to go for value with, and which sizing in which sizing I can still put them. So for example, if my answer is okay, I want to keep barreling King Queen plus, then I think we cannot go like super huge, like over bet or something. For that the turn is hitting me too good, so I will get some King Jack in there. I will get 2 pairs pretty frequently with Queen 10 offsuit, even 10-9 offsuit we have some frequency, so I don't think he can really overbet here in the situation. So maximum pot size, so I like his sizing. I like 3/4 better than overbet, but could be that he overbets with that's an interesting thing. I think some weaker players will start to play their range, their hand here, very likely. I see this more often, that yeah, if they have King Jack here or a set or something, that they overbet, and when they have like kings, aces, ace queen, then they tend to go with the smaller sizing. So this is also something to watch out for when I play some players more often. I really need to look at their sizings that they choose, so I could make a note here. Versus the 3/4, my hand cannot really fold. I would expect we always continue, but the question is, do we check raise? In game, to be honest, I didn't think too much about it. I just looked at it and I thought we have decent blockers to King Jack. Just a blocker type thing where I thought, okay, we block the value part pretty well. So yeah, I decided to go for a check raise, and also one thought of mine was just the exploitive thought was that he will probably continue a bit too often aces. I would expect aces to check a decent amount here on the turn, and yeah, I just think that they can barrel it a bit too often, or ace queen type hands. Things should also check very frequently, so I think it's easy to over barrel them, but we will see if this is true. And then the question is like, what do I attack by check raising and barreling then river? Is then mostly this region of like aces, ace queen, king queen, kings. So yeah, like in practice, I think aces, ace queen check already quite a bit, and yeah, I would imagine in theory also that this one will check raise sometimes. Just seems like a decent hand to do so. But we will see it. We will look into it. I check raise. Okay, and river brick. Now I thought I want to put pressure then on the aces, ace queen type hands though. And my expectation was that they are not folding the turn yet, so that they float, and this typical thing of like I call here and re-evaluate rivers. I think this kind of thought process is often pretty bad. It's kind of like easy way out, and I really don't like the thought process too much. Sometimes yes, if I just cannot think about some future things, but normally I want to always imagine future scenarios and like future runouts, what can happen, and I think there's a more efficient way of thinking than just saying I re-evaluate the next card. So there, just be careful that you don't use this too much. This like excuse to make then some decisions that are not very thought through. And river, yeah, he folded. So let's go into it. So we have here hijack open. Hijack open, and the big blind call, and the board comes with 1 second, queen 9, 9, 3. Okay, and we go in the AI solve. I would expect like a range bet or like very high frequency bet. Okay, range bet from the solver, but villain goes a bit bigger, so I think 33%. Okay, bet. We have like around 12% check raise, so our frequency was fine. What we assumed. Then hands like king queen plus, king queen already close, and then ace queen. Okay, interesting, but seems fine. Seems nothing too crazy. Call, and then comes the 10 in spades, but here it's the 10 in clubs. Check, and we see a pot size bet. That's also nice. So we also assumed the sizing correctly. So pot size makes sense to me. Then aces checks quite a bit. So we see with a spade it wants to check. Not really sure why, or it wants to bet only with a club. I think having the club, I think makes more sense. Yes. I think this is the thing, not having the spade. It's like more about, because we see the spade betting here. It's more about having the club, and the other combo I don't understand now directly. So, but doesn't matter too much. Okay, king jack should check back sometimes. Not happening. Tens should check back very frequently, not happening. So these are things that I need to consider. Like, this is not happening in practice, and this speaks a bit against check raising. And also seeing here jacks there, queens checking back, jacks betting, queen check still betting. Okay, so that's interesting. I think in practice it happens that these hands are bet, just in general, bet too often, like ace, queen, aces, but also for sure tens and queens, but jacks, not really jacks. I think I don't see betting, people betting, and yeah, and probably also this air-type hands are not, people will not find, like 6-7 in hearts or something, 7-8. Kings, this are gut shots. Like this ace-x, diamonds type, like this very unnatural bluffs. So if people don't find this hands, then we need to be already pretty careful, I think. More and more I lean towards, if I see these things, like I lean towards more, to be much more careful. I think there I got just this like lazy thought process of like blocker, oh, I have a good blocker to value, and okay, I take this and this, but I didn't really pay attention of like that I attack a very strong range still. But yeah, we will see. So, but after seeing this, I don't like it anymore. My play right now, but like maybe if he continues to wide aces, ace queen, and then he folds too often the river, then it makes sense. So this was my main idea, but we will check it. Pot size bet from hijack, and jack 9 is not a raise, and it's using the small raise. This is not correct. Let's do also like a 75%. I think around this we raised the turn. I don't think it's using 1/3. No, I don't know why it picked the 1/3. But when we raised and polarized, that makes sense, the 33%. So check 9 is pretty clear call. It's a clear call. Then comes the question why. So like I just want to know, like when I investigate, not just like, oh, I should not raise this, but more the understanding why this happened, why I was wrong. That this doesn't happen. It will happen, of course, that I will keep making mistakes, but not so frequent anymore. And when I make a mistake here, for sure there's some kind of takeaway that helps me understanding the next spot a bit better. So what I can think about is, so we need to look in general, like first thing, it's a very low check raise frequency. So this was I think the main thing that I didn't think about, and there was like also a bit like laziness maybe, or like being, what can happen is also that if you want action, especially when I make videos or stream or something, I notice that this happens more often, that I blend out, or like I filter out thought processes that could lead me to more passive actions. So the brain is great in doing this. So it will, if you notice, like if you think, you're not actively, like if a thought comes, oh, I have this blocker, it's not like I think this thought, it's just popping up, and it's like at what to say, if you have 10 seconds, 15 seconds, it's popping up this thought before, oh, how much value do I actually represent, instead of like blocker, I block value. If this one thought comes before the other, then you don't check raise. But if unconsciously, the unconscious is controlling your actions, and unconsciously you want more action, who knows why, like it's just more exciting, then the one thought will be in front of the other, and then you are manipulating yourself without realizing. And this I'm working myself on it, and it's like a constant process, let's say. So this is, I think, something interesting to think about, in which, how to construct your thought process, and to have like certain questions that you ask yourself, like I think helps a lot. And this I try also to work on myself, always just my thought process. So here, first thing that I noticed, I didn't ask myself how much value do I actually represent in the spot, and not much. So in theory, because then I will get the theory wrong if I don't ask myself this, because then check 9 is not a frequency thing anymore, because there's other hands that are just better candidates to check raise, like this ace-x clubs, for example. But anyway, to be honest, I think I would think at least like 10%, at least a bit check 9. So I'm surprised to be honest. I didn't think about this ace-x hands, that we have these ones, and it's interesting that it likes king 9. So king 9, I thought jack 9 will look like this king 9 hand, so that it's like mixing like this, but it likes the king 9 more. Probably because it's just more indifferent. Let's say the call is just with jack 9 we just have like a clear call, we have a clean call. With king 9 we don't have this clean call anymore, and then it gets indifferent, and as soon as it chooses then the bluffs from this region rather than raising like a clear call. Makes sense. So I need to be more selective there, thinking more if I want to get close to theory. So my theory foundation that this is strong, I need to think in this way. Of course, if you have a like exploitative reason why you want to do this, you don't need to make the step of thinking about theory, but I really like having this foundation. Also one thought that pops in my head is when we check raise jack 9, we don't really need to check raise it, because villain will have hands like king x, and yeah, for example here we see that king 9 with the king of clubs is folding, because I think the clubs will check back on the river, and these are the hands that we still like where we have showdown equity against. So for example, villain will barrel something like ace x in clubs and jack 9 calls, and then river it goes check check and we win showdown. This is I think like a very important thought also. Yeah, interesting. Very interesting. So I went there a bit overboard, but this is GTO. I thought like just theoretically I went overboard, and to be honest my theory was then not on point here, which is totally fine. I learned a bit something. But exploitative now, we need to think, okay, what is happening here, and then what that my thought, like the ranges that I thought I will face on the river and on the turn, does it make sense then to turn my hand to a bluff? So if villain is like barreling too much the aces, kings type hands, or like aces, ace queen, and if he's floating too wide, is it then a profitable check raise and then barrel river? This is like kind of also a question that I have in my mind, let's say, for myself. So let's see. First, let's look in theories or call, and big blind raises, and we will see then already like folds, like aces folds always. We have just kings, like the imposition player has kings to defend, which blocks king check, has more equity, kings has outs, can improve. So aces needs to fold, ace queen needs to fold. Not sure if this like really happens, like queen check. Probably like stronger players, or like players that really like think about the pool, and they realize just that people are under check raising. They could start then overfolding here the sense, but I think mainly like the thought process, like I said, would be, I call a turn and see what river what happens on river. On the river then it was I think like a brick, like a 4 or something. I think versus this range, what the solver is continuing, would be a big punt to shove my hand, like very big punt, because already like it's folding a lot of aces, it's folding a lot of strong stuff, so the range gets so strong that bluffing there is just like very very bad. So let's see, jack king 9 it's using instead of jack 9, okay. But the biggest thing is like exploitatively does it make sense, because if we see then crazy, I can expect crazy folds now here versus such a strong range. We see kings calling, which I think we could get some folds for sure against, but then we see folds from queens, 10s, 9s, like 9s full frequency fold. So it wants to just call the blockers to the straights, and that's the thing of about absolute and relative hand strength. Still, like all the players have this kind of mistake that they overvalue their absolute hand strength, and they don't consider too much. They're not great in relative hand strength, and this is not only recreational. It's have this league just way harder, let's say, but anyway, like this knowing your relative hand strength is just a skill that you always improve, and most players on lower stakes just call here queens, tens, knights. They don't fold. They don't think about what are you wrapping, what they just call. With this in mind, like here it would be just a terrible fold, terrible bluff, but I don't think this is a realistic scenario. So my guess was, or like from my experience, I think they continue aces and ace queen, and they think about it again on the river. Then let's say, especially when he bets 3/4, there's the likelihood of him capping himself a bit more. So I would say we just look at this end, we make a note log, and we test this the situation. We play around a bit, and yeah, I try to keep it not too long. Let's say just bet, and we raise, and he continues. I want to give him something, maybe not 100%, but something like this. That he continues the sense, like at least some frequency, and then this king queen, okay, queen check, something like this. But I don't see checks betting. That's very unrealistic, and also this unnatural bluffs I don't think happens much there. But yeah, anyway, lock all. Okay, so now we have the ace queen and ace queen, aces more often in there. Also, one more thought that I forgot to think about. Let's say, I think also that they don't really slow play. If you think about it, it's very draw heavy. So are they really slow playing so many king jack? This also affects the river range then quite a lot, because as soon you villain has so many king jack to defend on the river, of course you will be able then to fold more like more sets, for example. I don't think they really do this, so I would think like very high frequency. I will not put everything, but very high frequency, just shove with the nutted hands. I think like this makes more sense. Sets, no, I don't think they shove sets. Maybe some frequency, but like this mostly. Call, and river comes a 4 of diamonds. So now I would expect the aces, and it's interesting that we can have like a block bet. That's cool. Probably not so bad versus like this, like or does it make sense versus which hands do we want to block here? Aces, kings, for example. I don't want to use a block. Like I'm thinking no exploitative. So anyway, just use the all in, and now I would expect the aces and kings, ace queen to call like around let's say how often they call. Yeah, probably around like 50, like aces needs to be, I think now 50%, or like 25 aces, and then 75 to or 100 kings and 25, 50, something like this, aces, and then ace queen maybe like some 25%, something like this I would imagine. Okay, so not really, like kings 75 to 100, something like this, and aces is already full folding ace queen, so he's not really making a mistake then by folding this hand. He's not really making a mistake. It's interesting that the change to now having jack 9 of clubs, jack 9 with the jack of clubs, that's very interesting. I didn't even notice this, to be honest. As soon with our note log what we made, that he continues more aces, ace queen, we want to rather bluff the jack 9 and start folding king 9, but makes sense because we don't fold those we don't fold out the aces, the ace queen type hands, and we don't have so much equity. Kinda makes sense then to use then to get tighter in general. I think it gets tighter and then it shifts from this like this being indifferent to like jack 9 being indifferent. So now we move there towards like this indifference. So this is interesting. So now the jack 9, jack clubs gets a check raise. It's a check raise, and that's nice. Like for the, of course, it's the scenario what I have in my head. Let's say how I expect him to react. In practice, it's wrong. Yes, like versus a GTO bot, but versus the range that I had in my head, it would make sense then to check raise the jack 9 off. So that's nice to see. And river, it goes then always all in, and villain should then fold aces, ace queen, and it's a very nice brings a decent amount of EV, the shove. And we just need to see, okay, 9 starts folding already, but we block 9s, which is good. I see this maybe calling a bit too often, but we have the 9 blocker. And queen 10, to be honest, I also see calling too often. That's a bit tricky then. If queen 10 is calling, then and yeah, we need to check this. So queen 10 I don't think is folding. So if we lock now the queen 10 and the bluff is still plus EV, then I find it fine, let's say, and I find it good. The bluff itself, let's say. Okay, queen 10, queen 10. Let's see. But it's very sensitive, can get very fast minus EV then. So we already see like it's very close now. It's very close. So in general, I think I could just save the spot because okay, there's one argument that speaks for the raise being a bit more aggro. You see, it's already close in an exploitative environment. Let's say like everything is exploitative, of course, in game. No one plays like this over. So you need to kind of know like the foundation and then move from there. The foundation, to be honest, was a bit off here. I thought jack 9 would be also in GTO, a check raise. There I was a bit wrong. I forgot about the king 9 and that I didn't ask myself how much value do I rep in general, and what is like really the weakest part of my range that I want to still continue. What is the indifferent point? So this was what I missed. Other than that, the exploitative parts thought process was fine, I think. Was fine. Also with one nice exploitative thought was, I think, that he bet 3/4, and there's like this some percentage, or like a decent percentage, I think, that he can overbet stronger hands, that he can overbet like straights or sets or something like this. Could be, not saying that it is, but there's a percentage. So his 3/4 is potentially a bit weaker. So that would make you to attack a bit more often. This would increase the EV of your bluff, and if it's already so close, then probably it's fine. But I'm not totally sure if they're able to fold like kings, aces here. If he starts calling here aces, kings, then it's like just a huge punt. So overall, probably something that doesn't need to be. So like I said, I think because of making a video, I can tend to go a bit too aggro with my thought process, that I filter out thoughts that would make me act a bit more passive. There I need to be aware. So nice to learn also this. Yeah, but overall interesting hand. Takeaways, we got some nice takeaways, and yeah, I would just recommend you to really put a lot of effort and like go deep in hands, like really note log. With these videos I try to demonstrate how I go about it, and yeah, just ask me if you have questions, and yeah, I will keep doing this kind of videos if you're interested in this, and if you don't want to miss the next one, just like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. See you. Bye bye.